This is the last one, dealing with conflict. We talked about confession, and now we're going to talk about giving forgiveness, allowing God to use us to forgive and bring reconciliation into conflict. In Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 to 17, it walks through dealing with conflict, and one of the first things that happens is to go to that person in person. And I want to be honest with you, a lot of times conflict happens. I want to show you where it happens. It happens right here. Happens right here. A lot of conflict, misunderstandings, things said about people, hurtful things, happens a lot on the phone, and it's not in person. And as Christians, we are called to a higher standard than just replying via text or being via message on the phone. God instructs us to meet face to face, and the interactions that we have on the phone, if there's a conflict, use the phone to bring people together in person. And I'm not just saying that to be annoying. I'm saying that because that is what our role is to bring people together, to be ministers of reconciliation, the way that Jesus Christ has for us. And so we need to go and be in person. If somebody's hurt you, talk to them and say, hey, can we meet and talk about that in person? I really want to figure out what's going on. Because there's a lot of misunderstandings that happen via text. How many times have you texted somebody or you've received a text message and you thought, I kind of wonder what they mean by this, or you read into it and you're like, they're not being kind to me, or you read a message and you start to add into your mind and kind of think through like all the other implications of what their words actually mean, and maybe they're just saying like, oh, I hope you have a nice day. And you're like, oh, they hope I have a nice day, they're making fun of me, blah 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 blah. And so we tend to do that, don't we? We read into a text message instead of just dealing with being with them in person and losing that chance of misunderstanding somebody. So when we forgive someone, we remember that Christ has given everything for us. And I think it's important that we understand that even the disciples asked Jesus, how many times are we supposed to forgive somebody? 7 times? And Jesus says 70 times 7, right? There's no limit to our forgiveness. And Jesus tells a story about a king who cancels the debt of a servant who owed over millions of dollars, but the king forgave him. And then the same servant goes to another servant that he had that owed him only a few dollars. And what we see here is just when we hold in forgiveness instead of forgiving people, it really destroys and produces decay in our own heart. It makes Jesus upset, and it hurts our relationship with God and with Christ. It hurts our relationships with the church, with other people. But it also destroys our own soul when we don't forgive people. And it's really important that when we forgive somebody, I just want to go over, there's 4 key components to forgiveness. Number 1 is when we forgive someone, we need to use the words, I forgive you, because those words can be powerful. Instead of just saying, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. No, just use the words, I forgive you. And one way of that we're forgiving is we're not dwelling on the situation anymore. When we say we're forgiving you, what it means is the debt is paid. There's no more conflict. I'm not going to bring it up again. I'm not going to talk about it with other people. And I'm not going to allow it to ruin my relationship with you. So we're not using it as ammunition to hold for later. Remember when you did this last time? And if they do the same thing again, we still need to have the same grace and forgiveness. And we're not going to bring up, remember you just did this last week. Remember you've done this 5 times before, right? We're not dwelling on the situation of what happened. We're not going to bring it up again. We're not going to talk about it with others. And we're not going to allow it to ruin the relationship. You see, forgiveness can be really powerful. And these are just simple ways that God calls us to come to a higher way of engaging in conflict. Because a lot of times we see conflict ruin relationships and people tend to escape or attack, but we need to come in and own up our responsibilities and learn how to bring good confession and forgiveness in situations and deal with what's going on and acknowledge that we are no better than anyone else and we want to bring reconciliation and bring people together. Um, and so I hope and I pray that as you think through these things, spend time. Maybe there's things going on in your life, or there's things that you need to deal with conflict with other people. Maybe it's even people in the youth group. Maybe it's friends. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's people at school. But God doesn't want us to pretend like everything's okay. If you need to overlook situations, ask God to give you the grace to forgive people. If you need to make a confession to someone, go and make that confession to them in person. I know our culture makes fun of people who seem to have a gentle and quiet spirit. We tend to make fun of people who apologize or seek forgiveness, but it's the right thing to do. And for us, when someone messes up, even if they never apologize to us, that we need to forgive them in our heart and move on and make things right again. So that's all I have for you. Spend some time in your small groups. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for your prayers. Hope to see you soon.